first memory at the Air Force Academy, when I stepped off the bus and saw the upper class, I said, why did I not go to Dartmouth? And it all went downhill from there. That was the first day at the academy, where I learned that I wasn't special, that I had to serve my country as opposed to myself. And at the end of the day, never regret that first day.
I guess the question we're asking everyone is, what do you remember from your first day at the academy?
What do I remember my first day? Well, I remember that I walked out of the ramp, on the ramp, and there's two guys just yelling and screaming at me. And I sort of expected it, but I didn't expect it to be that bad. I really didn't. And you want to know something? I don't remember a whole lot about the rest of the day other than, it was just running around like fools. I mean, getting yelled at, doing more push-ups than you can possibly imagine. I remember I didn't get a bite to eat for supper that night. And I remember when I got in bed that night, I remember just thinking, what am I doing here? Pure and simple. But it got better from there.
So that was the worst day, the first day? I mean, just surprise and shock of everything?
I think so, yeah. For sure. But, looking back, I honestly don't remember too much about it other than the first surprise out there with these guys in my face yelling at me. And I'll bet you everybody else just told you something pretty much.
Looking back on it, it was a little surprise for me that I was there at all. I'd never left Orange before. I suddenly found myself in Colorado Springs alone. No parents to drop me off, and suddenly people were yelling at me and hollering at me. And I thought, well, I can either do this or not, and I didn't know there was a not, so I kept on going. But it was quite a traumatic experience, quite a learning experience. Looking back on it, I don't know how I did it, but I was certainly, I was glad to be there in spite of the pressure. I thought, these are a great bunch of guys. These people yelling at me can't really be serious about it. So that's what I remember that day.
Was there anything that, do you feel that you were prepared for that, or was it a complete surprise?
I didn't have any preparation at all. What they told me to do was to go out and run so that I'd be healthy and ready to go. And I ran, but I ran probably 6-minute miles. And when I got there, I needed to run 4-minute miles to keep up with everybody that was there. So no, I wasn't prepared at all. I'd never done any athletics. I was always a manager in high school. I was a manager at the academy. So I had no idea what my physical limits were, but I quickly found them.
Right. And I guess it was probably the best diet you've ever been on, right?
Oh yes, the food was wonderful. My mother was a lovely woman, but she really didn't like to cook. So I went from 115 pounds to 125 pounds duly summer. Other people, I think, lost weight. But
interesting, because you can eat as much as you want, right?
Well, I could eat. No, I couldn't eat anything that we wanted to. We had to sit at attention and look at the plate, and not being totally perfect at 17, I made some mistakes. So I had to sit up a lot and didn't get to eat a lot. Still more than I got at home.
All right. Anything else you want to add?
No, except this is a great bunch of guys. Your family is certainly gracious to bring us in here and let us party, and I'm looking forward to doing it again.
Excellent.
Okay, first day of the academy was my parents dropped me off. They've been promising a trip to California for the whole family forever, so to speak. So they dropped me off, and they took my brother, sister, and themselves to California. And obviously I went to California for Mather Air Force Base for electronic warfare training, NAV school, after I washed out of pilot training. And first day, though, basic memory was after having some donuts and whatever they offered us. They said,
somebody else mentioned that too.
Go around the corner and that nice cadet will take care of it. And obviously when I went to the nice cadet, he yelled at me, why are you walking over here? Get over here fast, or double time, whatever words.
Right.
Stick your chin in, and there are 4 things: yes sir, no sir, no excuse sir, sir may I ask a question. And then of course the rest of the day getting the haircut and getting the shots and getting all the clothing and everything.
And was it unlike anything were you in any way prepared for that? Did you know it would be?
I really didn't know what to expect. Even though growing up in Baltimore, Naval Academy was right around the corner.
Right. And I mean, some of the others have mentioned that. I guess some things that they're piecing together. I mean, some people are remembering things and some people aren't. And then when I remind them, like, oh yeah, that's right, we did do that. And you recalled donuts, and
I recall donuts.
somebody else recalled cookies and lemonade.
Yeah, I don't know. Donuts were sort of my passion, I guess. From high school, having a donut truck right behind high school, so at lunchtime you could buy a donut.
So it was to give you such a huge contrast. You know, your last donut, your last little bit of freedom, and then hell. And did you? I mean, did they? Others have said that they made you feel like you're not special. You're not. I mean, you probably felt pretty great having accomplished that, but once you got there, it was just everyone's grind it down.
Yeah, essentially it's a leveling process, re-socialization to get you into the military mindset, if you will.
Great.
Although I have to say, the last visit for the 40th reunion, military mindset, I think what I saw as far as uniforms and the camouflage and everything, if it was like that in our day, I probably would have said, who needs this? I think we had something different and special, especially the early class and building tradition.
I think so too. Okay, well, anything else you want to say? Now's the time to say it.
No, just great 4 years there.
All right.
And, happy I went there. And, of course, aspirations obviously changed. Went there with the intention of being an aeronautical engineer. Never got into that. Of course, with flight pay being what it was, half a second lieutenant's pay, and also socialization. What do you mean you don't want to be a fighter pilot? You learn very fast. Yes, sir, I want to be a fighter pilot. And I guess the good guys in our squadron, like Carl Richter and John Lorber, the class behind us, good role models as far as professionalism.
Okay.
So,
all right.
4 years, and great to look back and great to re-meet and relive the memories.
The academy, I came from a very small town in Pennsylvania, and all of a sudden I fly to Denver, go on to Colorado Springs, and spend the night with some friends that I had known from prep school. Went out to the academy the following day, and it was hell on wheels for the next 90 days. I didn't settle down until probably September, and it was a blur from June 26th until probably my birthday, September 7th. Got into academics and things settled down, but I remember mostly from the academy the people that I met and the friends that I met. And the friends that I have kept, along with Doug and Wendy Widener, probably are my most closest friends, along with my best man from 23rd Squadron, John Gross.
Do you remember there's been some variation on this story that it was either donuts or cookies and lemonade that they gave you at some orientation, and you thought, oh, this would be nice, and then they said, now follow the young cadet to, and then they start screaming at you.
Then you went through some door, and then they started screaming at you. Now, I don't even remember. I don't remember that. I just, like I say, it was a blur. I remember getting issued a uniform and sweating like a dog and running up and down stairs, and I don't remember them feeding us at all. I remember one time coming back from the cadet gym, and I was able to sneak a salted nut roll from the vending machine. And I remember my classmate Doug Widener and I measuring it so that we would get exactly 50%. Each of us would get a half. Mm-hmm. That's it. But I remember being hungry for months and months.
Good diet, right?
Yeah.
Kept you trim.
I was very trim. Yeah, I very trim. I was probably down to about 170 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.